What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for AnimeUproar, and in this video, I will reveal the full, terrifying story of Daki and Gyutaro. I will explain how and why they became demons, why they both share the title of Upper Moon 6 despite being two different people, and why Muzan refers to them as his special demons. Daki and Gyutaro are among the best villains in a series that is full of amazing villains with compelling backstories, so let's break it all down right now. If you guys enjoy our Demon Slayer content and you want us to keep it going, just leave a quick like and comment. It only takes a second, but it helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new to AnimeUproar, or maybe you watch our videos but you just haven't taken the time to subscribe yet, do me a quick favor and make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. Before we get into it, a quick thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. If you guys know me, you know that one of my biggest pet peeves is paying full price for a streaming service only to find out that a bunch of the content on that service is not available in my country. I'm in Canada, so I often ran into these issues with US-based streaming platforms, and it is completely unfair. If I'm paying full price like everyone else, then I should get full access to all the content like everyone else. Thankfully, NordVPN allows me to easily do exactly that. Whether I'm at home or traveling, I just open the map, click on a location, and I am connected in seconds. I never have to worry that I'll miss out on watching awesome anime because I don't have access to them in my country. It's super easy, it's the fastest VPN out there according to multiple speed tests, and it's available on every major platform, including Windows, Android TV, iOS, macOS, and Linux. Try it out for yourself. Go to nordvpn.com/AnimeUproarVPN to get a 2-year plan plus 1 additional month with a huge discount. It's risk-free because Nord even offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. Just click that top link in the description or go to nordvpn.com/AnimeUproarVPN right now. Finally, this video will contain manga spoilers about Daki and Gyutaro in particular, so please proceed with caution. You have been warned. Daki and Gyutaro are introduced in the Red Light District arc of Demon Slayer, and initially we are led to believe that Upper Moon 6 is just Daki herself. Daki is a vicious demon who has been alive for over 100 years and who has been playing the part of an Oiran within the Red Light District for many generations. Daki has been thriving within the unique environment of the Red Light District because she is able to abduct and devour humans without raising a lot of suspicion. This is because if she devours another woman from the district, everyone just assumes that the woman ran off with a man and no one asks too many questions. That said, because Daki has been living in this same area for generations, she has had to cover her tracks once in a while. One of the first things we see Daki do is kill an elderly woman who realized that Daki was the same evil Oiran that her grandmother had told her about as a child. Since that Oiran should have died generations ago, the old woman knows that something is off about Daki, and so Daki disposes of her. Early on in the Red Light District arc, we see Muzan coming to pay a personal visit to Daki. He notices that she has gotten much stronger because she has been devouring so many humans lately. We also learned that she has apparently killed 7 strong Hashira in the past, and Muzan says that he has high hopes for her. He even calls her a special demon, but more on that later. We eventually learn that Daki is not what she appears to be. Well, that goes without saying because she appears to be an Oiran, but she is actually a demon. However, even her demon form and her position as Upper Moon 6 are not as they appear. After Tengen manages to corner and behead Daki, the fight appears to be all but over. But instead of dying after being beheaded, Daki calls out for her older brother, and then a strange, emaciated looking creature emerges from Daki's back. The creature's name is Gyutaro. He is Daki's older brother, and it is clear right away that he is far stronger than Daki herself. Gyutaro is a misshapen creature whose body is full of scars, stains, and other marks. As soon as he appears, we get a hint that his human life had been extremely tough, although he barely even remembers his human life anymore. His name comes from the word Gyu, which is used by barkers to entice people to come into the Red Light District. This hints at the fact that he grew up around the district and that his mother may have been one of the ladies of the night. Gyutaro claims that he has killed 15 Hashira over the course of his long lifespan, and Daki claims to have killed an additional 7, as we've heard before. It is emphasized that both Daki and Gyutaro suffered in their past, and the way that they deal with this injustice is by inflicting suffering upon others as revenge for how they themselves were treated. And they also want to make sure that no one ever gets a chance to put them into a position like that again. The two of them learned how the world really works the hard way, and so they show no mercy to anyone. Whenever they cause harm to someone who was blessed in life and who had an easier life than them, they see it as collecting on the debt that is owed to them by the rest of the world. They want to cause misery equal to the unhappiness that they themselves experienced. After Gyutaro appears, we learn that he and Daki are intrinsically connected and that they depend on each other. Daki becomes stronger once Gyutaro awakens, and Gyutaro has the ability to see through Daki's eyes, which allows him to get a better view of the battlefield. Gyutaro also has the ability to control Daki, which underscores the fact that Gyutaro is the strongest sibling and the main component of the Upper Moon 6 team. However, Gyutaro isn't always controlling Daki, and she does have her own free will. We then finally learn the dark and tragic backstory of Daki and Gyutaro and how they became demons in the first place. The two of them grew up in the lowest caste of the entertainment district. Their mother died of a disease when they were both young, and Daki's real name, Ume, is apparently a reference to this disease. Now, the word Ume itself means plum, but as is often the case with Japanese, depending on how the word is spelled, it can also be a reference to syphilis, which is an STD. In the modern world, this disease is nowhere near as dangerous as it once was, thanks to the invention of penicillin, but back when Daki's mother would have contracted it, which I assume is around the year 1800, it would have been extremely deadly. And so, Daki and Gyutaro grew up in the lowest caste of the entertainment district, and kids in this situation are considered to be just a nuisance, and they were completely unwanted by everyone. Keeping kids like this alive is nothing but an unwanted expense to the other inhabitants of the district, so they were treated more like stray animals than like human beings. Even while their own mother was still alive, she actively mistreated them and acted like she didn't want them, so Gyutaro had to step in and take the responsibility of protecting his little sister from a very young age. On top of that, Gyutaro was born with a weak body and physical features that were considered very ugly. As a result, he was relentlessly bullied and abused as a child. Since he was dirty, smelly, flea and lice-ridden, and labeled as ugly, he was a massive outcast in the entertainment district where beauty was prized above all other things. So even before his mother died and he became an orphan, it was as if the entire purpose of Gyutaro's life was to give others someone to mock and belittle. He was forced to eat bugs and insects in order to survive, and everyone was disgusted by the sight of him. But when Ume was born, everything changed. Unlike Gyutaro, Ume was very beautiful, and he decided to protect his little sister from this cruel world. He did everything in his power to keep her safe, fed, and warm, and thanks to Gyutaro's superhuman determination to protect his sister at all costs, the two of them survived. Because of all the bullying that he constantly dealt with, Gyutaro became extremely good at fighting, and so he became a debt collector. When someone owed money and refused to pay, Gyutaro would show up and collect on the debt. And he would also beat down the person whether they paid the debt or not, which led to him developing a reputation for being ruthless. Along with his fighting abilities, he used his appearance that others found scary as an asset, and so he became a successful debt collector. Things were finally looking up for Daki and Gyutaro, but then one night, everything changed. That night, Ume stabbed a samurai in the eye with a hair comb. This samurai was presumably a client of hers, and she was punished by being nearly burned to death, a grotesque and cruel punishment, but one that the higher castes of the district had no problem inflicting upon a member of the lowest caste. It's not clear exactly why Ume stabbed the samurai, but I assume that it was because he tried to force her to do things without her consent. The Demon Slayer wiki claims that she stabbed him because he insulted Gyutaro in front of her, but I saw no evidence of that in the manga, so I'm not sure where they're getting that information from. When all of this happened, Gyutaro was away on a job, and by the time he returned, Ume was already burned and practically dead. Gyutaro was beyond himself with grief, and he vowed that he would do anything, even kill all the gods and Buddhas, if he could just have his beautiful little sister back. Gyutaro was then also attacked by that same samurai, and he was almost killed after the samurai attacked him from behind. But Gyutaro managed to turn the tables and kill both the samurai and the madam who ran the brothel and who got Ume into this situation in the first place. But despite winning the fight, Ume and Gyutaro were now both severely injured, and it looked like they were about to die. As they were lying on the street in the snow, not a single human being tried to help them. It was the same as usual. They were on their own, and not a single soul even cared if they lived or died. Then, just as they were about to die, Upper Moon 2 Doma showed up and offered them the opportunity to become demons. Gyutaro knew that his sister was dying, and since he was willing to do anything to save her, he agreed to become a demon. And he never regretted that decision. In fact, if he had 100 other lifetimes, he would have made the same choice. Humans never helped him and his sister, they only tormented them relentlessly, and becoming demons is what ultimately saved them. After becoming demons, they eventually rose up through the ranks until they collectively became Upper Moon 6. I don't believe that it was ever directly explained why exactly Daki and Gyutaro were so linked to each other that they essentially form one collective body and take up one Demon Moon rank, but we can assume that this is related to the precise way in which they became demons. They were both close to death when Doma found them, but Daki especially was nearly gone and she wasn't even in a position where she could fully comprehend what was going on. So it is possible that Gyutaro agreed to give up a part of his own body in order to save Daki, since he was determined to save his sister no matter what it takes. Maybe this was because Daki couldn't consent at the time, so Gyutaro had to make the decision for both of them, or maybe it was simply because her body was too damaged by the fire, so Gyutaro had to volunteer his own body. Either way, they ended up being intrinsically connected to each other in their demon forms. In fact, they are so connected that the only way to kill them is to behead both of them at exactly the same time. Now, I will give another spoiler alert right now. From this point forward, I will discuss the ultimate fate of Daki and Gyutaro. So if you wanted to just know their backstory but not what happens to them in the end, you can click off right now. If you're okay with moving forward, then you don't have to do anything because we will discuss the rest of Daki and Gyutaro's story. Eventually, after a long and hard-fought battle that came at a heavy cost for Tengen Uzui, the Demon Slayers managed to use some amazing teamwork to behead both Daki and Gyutaro at the same time. As their heads lie dying, Daki and Gyutaro begin to bicker about which of them is to blame for their defeat. Daki calls Gyutaro ugly and useless, and he calls her a weakling whom he'd always had to protect. But that is when Tanjiro steps in and demonstrates yet again what a kind-hearted person he is. Knowing that these two demons are already done for, he intervenes to stop them from arguing. He reminds them that all they have is each other. No one else will miss them when they're gone, everyone will just curse them for being demons who did such horrible things. So now, as they lie dying, they must stop this petty bickering. They don't really mean what they're saying, so they shouldn't go off into the afterlife fighting. Although they resist this advice at first, Tanjiro's words do eventually get through to them. Daki and Gyutaro regain their memories from back when they were human, and they remember the promise that they made to each other. That promise was that they would always be together, and so they head off into hell together, with Gyutaro carrying Daki, or rather Ume, on his back like he had done so many times back when they were kids. Looking back now, the story of Daki and Gyutaro was such a cruel and heartbreaking one. They were villains through and through, and in the end, they weren't redeemed. They didn't regret becoming demons, they did a lot of evil deeds, and they ended up going to hell together because of it. And yet, you can still sympathize with their truly tragic story, and you can see how they turned out to be as evil as they did, even though at the end of the day there is no excuse for their actions. They were treated horribly by other people, and they themselves treated other people horribly. Their entire life was one giant cycle of suffering, hatred, and revenge, and in the end, their story is full of tragedy, including the tragedy that the two of them themselves endured, and also the tragedy that they willingly brought upon others. After the battle is over, Muzan remarks to the other Demon Moons that Gyutaro lost because Daki had been a hindrance to him. If he had fought by himself, he would have won, but because he kept trying to protect Daki and because he kept trying to make her feel useful, he made too many mistakes and was ultimately defeated. That said, this was the first time that an Upper Demon Moon was defeated in 113 years, and Muzan was definitely not pleased when he learned that this happened. He orders the other Demon Moons to work harder to carry out his orders, otherwise they are all useless to him. But this brings me to an interesting question. If Muzan really believed that Daki was just a hindrance to Gyutaro and that he would have been better off without her, then why did he pay a personal visit to Daki, praise her, and call her a special demon, or an extraordinary demon depending on the translation? At one point he even says to her that no one is as beautiful and as strong as her, which as we know now is completely untrue, especially that strength part. We never got an exact answer to this question, but part of it may be due to the fact that Daki was an Oiran. As an Oiran, Daki was likely an important source of income for Muzan. Even though Muzan himself is a lot more powerful than a human, he still lives in a world that has a lot more humans than it has demons. And in order to remain hidden from the Demon Slayers, Muzan has to navigate his way through this human world. This means that he needs money and connections, and Daki's status as an Oiran definitely provided him with those important things. We know that Upper Moon Gyoko is well liked by Muzan because his pots fetch a high price. So it is clear that Muzan knows the value of money. This could be why he also valued Daki, or at least why he wanted her to think that he values her. And that is it, the full story of Daki and Gyutaro's tragic and dark life. What did you guys think of them as characters, and do you like them as villains? Where would you rank them in terms of your favorite villains in the Demon Slayer story? I probably like Akaza and Doma more, and I don't mean I like Doma as a person, he's the sickest, most evil maniac out there, but that makes him a good villain, and also Kokushibo is just so badass. But after those guys, Daki and Gyutaro are probably my favorites. Muzan himself is one of my least favorite, to be honest, since his character doesn't really have nearly as much depth compared to most of the other villains. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more Demon Slayer content on the channel, just leave a quick like. It only takes a second, but it helps a lot. And of course, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you watch our videos but you just haven't taken the time to subscribe yet, if you could make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications, it will really help me out a lot, and of course, it's completely free. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. Thanks again to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Check them out, link in the description. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys!